Hey everyone, welcome to Coffee and Darts. This is episode 47. I am your host, Matthew, and we've got two wonderful gentlemen with us today from the Championship Darts Corporation or Championship Darts Circuit, however you want to call it. But before we get into that, I do want to thank my sponsors, of course, Magicwear. They provide these wonderful jerseys. They're comfortable. You can spend 24 hours in them and feel good about yourself. Also want to thank Shot Darts for sponsoring this show. Of course, Shot's got incredibly fabulous looking barrels. They are celebrating their 50th anniversary this year, so check out shotdarts.com. Let's bring on our illustrious guests. But before we do that, one other thing I want to remind you guys about is the Target launch. This is on Wednesday. Just go to targetdarts.com, sign up for that, and you can be a part of the launch that normally only special people get invited to. The world is invited this year. All right, let's bring on our guests. First, we've got Anthony and then Peter. Hey, guys, how are you doing?
Fantastic. How are you?
Great, Matt. Thanks for having us.
Wonderful, wonderful. You know, in this show, you don't need to wear a mask. You are COVID safe.
Thank you, brother. All right.
Well, he was flashing some signs, too. I don't know if you caught that. It was just, it's all the milieu with him, you know.
Yeah, well, it is the CDC. So, you know, I guess maybe you do need to wear the mask. So
I thought we'd be about 5 minutes in before the first joke, but okay, we'll go with that. We'll roll with
yeah,
it.
we got to get it rolling. Get it rolling. Hey, guys, I'm just going to shoot this out there, and I'll let you guys take it. Maybe we'll start with you, Anthony, since you're in the top as far as I can see. Let's talk about you getting into darts. You know, what brought you into darts, and then why the Champion Dart Corporation or Circuit, and correct me on which one's correct.
Championship Darts Corporation is the overall body that runs everything, and the main event is the Championship Darts Circuit. For myself, I'm a child of parents that played. I was born in 70, and that was just sort of the middle of that big boom that took place here in the U.S. So my parents played, and I started playing when I was about 8 in the house. Parents played league darts, you know, so I was always encouraged to practice and play and watch my dad play, so on and so forth. Started playing myself at 18, played for 25 years as a league player. I was very interested in playing in as many places as I could. Very fortunate here in New York that we've got a lot of different types of, a lot of different boroughs and little different places to play. So you have different flavor, and I traveled a lot. So as that playing career started to wind down, as I was a team captain, you know, in that progression, I became more and more interested in organizing things, you know, active with the league meetings, and that led to an opportunity to run a team league myself. Got that kicked off, and I think it was 2007. A couple of years later, I traveled a lot, not a lot as a player, traveled as a player to the PDC events in Las Vegas, the old Desert Classic. That was pretty much the main focus on what I played. I was really interested in long format and singles, and you know, and that's eventually where I got to. So at a certain point in, I think it was 2010. It was 2010. I had a desire to take that PDC format and bring it home to New York, and to watch some of the best players that we had in New York compete against each other. And I created something called Dart Players New York. And that is a simple replica of the PDC system, long format, you know, playing on the same board, just that whole feel of a long format event. And I know Pete and I will probably get into that, because recently folks were talking about that sort of pacing. It has a unique pacing. It's a different atmosphere than the open event where I'm called to this board, called to that. I'm not sure exactly when I'm up. It's a little more structured. And that's a pro and a con to that. So anyway, so we kick off Dart Players New York. That garners some interest here in New York, and nationally it's successful for a couple of years. And I got into, I was asked by the Butlers to be involved in the New World Dart Series that was kicking off the end of 2012, I believe. 2012, yes, 2012. And that's where I met my partner and dear friend there, Peter Citera. So we hooked up, worked on those events. I was fortunate enough to come on with Pete. Was a very experienced traveling official already with Jay Tomlinson, who was already sort of the flagship to carry the PDC banner in North America. So he ran PDC events, bannered events here for quite a long time. And then, I was able to go out on the road, learn those things as a floor official, and watch things unfold. Did that for a little bit. And then late in 2014, Peter and I got together with our third founding partner, L. David Irete, who, again, we met through that same sort of process, New World Darts Series, PDC North American Championship Tour, and started to put together our idea of what this high-level, championship-level platform should be, and that birthed the Championship Darts circuit, and we kicked off in 2015.
Nice. Well, Peter, I'm going to throw the same question to you. What got you into darts? Where did you get started? And how did you kind of gravitate or become part of the Championship Darts Corporation circuit?
Well, I think Anthony kind of answered the second part of that pretty well. I don't have the same background as he does. Darts was not a part of my life growing up. Candidly, I went to college, came out of college. I was in one of my favorite watering holes at the time, sitting there talking to a friend, and somebody came over and tapped me on my shoulder and said, "Hey, we got this blind draw going, and we're odd, and we need somebody else to make it even. Do you want to play darts?" And I kind of looked at them with a dumb look, and I'm good at those. And they basically said, "Come on, it'll be fun." So I went over. I was terrible. I had a freaking blast, and I fell in love with the game. And so that led to leagues, local leagues. I got better, got a bit of skill, thought I was a decent dart player, decided I was going to test my skill on the tournament circuit, realized very quickly that I am not a good dart player when it comes to that, but I still had the passion for it. And so at the end of the day, it was a matter of finding my place in the game. It started with Windy City Darters. I became a board member on that league, which at the time was the second largest league in the United States, next to the Minutemen, and spent literally 18 years on the board. So that was kind of that. Because we were hooked up with the PDC, we were a PDC sanctioned event. Early on, I got the tournament bug, right, and so became a tournament director for the Windy City Open. Connected with Jay Tomlinson, and I've been a part of pretty much every PDC event in North America since 2001, 2002. So if there's been anything here in North America that's been affiliated with the PDC, I've been a part of it. And so I had the burning desire to try to make it better. Like Anthony. It's funny because Anthony and I and a couple others, the World Series of Darts at the Mohegan Sun in Connecticut, some of you may remember that. We were all kind of together. We didn't know each other. We were all together. We all went to the same event. We all saw the same thing. And we all left with oh my God, we need to do something here to get us competitive. And we all came up with different things. Anthony came up with DPNY. I started something called NAPDO in the Midwest, which is a long format singles league. And Anthony Marquet in Philly did some stuff. They have the ASL. So a lot of these things just started. And we were kind of blessed that we kind of got thrown together. Anthony mentioned the New World Darts Series. That's really where we started working together, very closely. He was doing some PDC stuff with us, but, we became friends. We got David involved, and what you see with CDC is the result of, a lot of hard work, but there's also some pure dumb luck there. If the three of us don't meet the way we do, if the three of us don't like each other, I don't think you see CDC what it is today, because this isn't a one-man show. It takes everybody. Then we brought in our fourth partner, Jeff Good, a couple of years after we started it, and he adds another dynamic. So, it's really a fantastic organization with some great people. Our staff, I think, is the best staff, dart-related staff on the continent, very close to being the best in the world. I'm not going to, give the PDC any run for their money, but our people are amazing, and we just have a great group, and it's a lot of fun.
Awesome, that's great. I do want to real quick, Jen Mounts put this out here.
Hey, Jen.
My two favorite guys. There's three of us, Jen. Which two are your favorite guys?
It's a monkey Jen. Knife fight to odd man out.
So sorry, I had to throw that little bit in there, but that's really interesting. And you talk about the luck of the draw that you guys were kind of thrown together. I've always believed when you look at things like Apple and any of these big corporations, part of it's luck and part of it is everybody just having a desire to achieve something. And those like-minded people will butt heads at some point, and they'll either go forward or they won't. They'll literally butt heads. So you guys, the Championship Darts circuit gets going and it starts pushing. And I know there were the BDO was around at the time. There were other things, other avenues for players to go with. How have you guys helped to really make Championship Darts circuit? What's that back? Let's talk about the back end of things. How does it get to where it is? Because it's been 5 years and you guys have really jumped into a position where, I mean, if you want to go to the Alley Pally and you're in North America, the doorway is through Championship Darts circuit. So who wants to take that?
I'll start and I'll throw it to Anthony just a little bit. A lot of that came from the fact that, quite frankly, we had the relationship with Jay Tomlinson and the old PDC North America type of thing. So we got his, God bless, he was starting to step back and, we came up with this idea and he's like, just guys, it's a great idea. Go and run with it. There was that relationship there and that I think opened the door a little bit. But certainly, the PDC doesn't just hand things out. Like our first couple of years, it was, hey guys, it's nice that you guys are doing this. We're gonna kind of take a back seat here and watch. Or give you a little bit of rope and see if you guys are going to take it and pull, or if you're going to hang yourselves with it. And we thankfully a lot of it again because of the drive and the staff we put around us and the plan that we had, we're able to open that door, and get the spots, and I'll let Anthony talk. I'm not going to monopolize the time here because I know this is something that he's near and dear to his heart. But the DPNY that he started, we created DP US. There's a bunch of different tours now affiliated under that banner. So we've kind of created this runway to the big show. And I'm going to shut up and I'm going to let Anthony run with that because he has all the vision and talks amazing about it. So I'm going to shut up now and let him do it.
Pete knows I'm raring to go. A lot of stuff in there to chew on. I listened to a great interview you did, Matt, the other day with Danny Lauby. Still have some to listen to, but there was a part that, Danny was talking about the work ethic that he picked up from his dad and the time it takes to become a champion. And I truly believe that's a big component in what we've succeeded with so far. The modicum level of success that we've had is our preparation. We're all big believers in putting in the effort and the time behind the scenes to put ourselves in the right position. And I believe that is that what is it? Luck favors the prepared. I'm chopping. I'm screwing that up a bit, but you don't get lucky by accident, if that makes any sense. Sometimes you have to put yourself in a position, and then that leads me to what you brought up already about timing and what Pete's talked about. Yeah, we were the beneficiaries of timing. I know I certainly was a few years prior when I started DPNY. I remember thinking, it was a great idea. I loved it, and I was fully in favor of it. But I realized that if I had that same idea, or I assumed there were smart guys before me might have had similar ideas, there just wasn't the vehicle to be able to communicate with people as well. Facebook was really, this was 2010. Facebook was, just really flourishing. It was, a few people didn't have a Facebook account still, but for the most part, I could now get my ideas and my events on a Facebook page and announce them. And that was, really broad reaching. And that really helped, and specifically about the CDC, we targeted and we're always interested, and that's how we became bedfellows, in a certain level of darts that wasn't being serviced. That needed this top level niche that needed to be serviced. So we've never felt that we haven't fit in with just about everybody on in the landscape of darts. Can
I want to just kind of piggyback onto what he just said. when we started, I think a lot of people didn't know where we were going to fit. A lot of people didn't know what we were going to try to do. And I think that there was a sense that we were going to come in and try to take over the world, everybody's world. And that's never been our goal. Our goal has been to serve the top end, to serve the people that truly want to be the best they can be, test their skills against the best in the country, and if they have it, the best in the world. That's where we focus our energy. There's been a lot of people that have kind of talked at me behind the scenes, talked to one of us, me, others of us, talking about us wanting to take over the ADO or wanting to take over this or that. No, that's not the goal. The goal is to work with like-minded organizations to make the game better across the continent, the U.S. and Canada. We're willing to work with anybody who shares that vision, no matter what area of the game they serve.
Yeah, I think that's key is the fact, and I know this from talking with David in regards to the desire for the Championship Darts Corporation is to really encompass anybody that's willing to drive the sport further, to help the players out, whether that's educating them on how to do social media, educating them on how to, sit here and do interviews, or maybe it's just to add additional tournaments that help promote the sport, but it's got to be something that's all-encompassing, fair, that's not that bickering and fighting that we've seen with other organizations. So in regards to that, I do want to just really quickly bring up, you guys had a tournament this past weekend. I want to talk a little bit about that and what it's like for the fact that one of you guys is in the Midwest, one of you's in New York, David's out here in California with me, and you guys run these tournaments that are in Canada, in here in the US. Let's talk a little bit about that tournament, what it's like running it, and we need to give some props to Matt Campbell and everyone that was there playing. But what was your weekend like?
It's funny. Anthony and I were chatting as we were running. We kind of split the weekend up. I took the lead in the morning tournaments. He took the lead in the afternoon. Both of us have the darts background, so we kind of split the tournament director role, and we support each other when the other guy is not kind of leading. So we both had the opportunity to lead and run an event remotely, and we're chatting back and forth on Messenger about how awesome this was to be able to do this. Not gonna lie, I was scared bleepless going into the event that something was going to go wrong. Our on-site staff was going to be left in the dark. We were not going to be able to put this on. We're going to look like a bunch of schmucks. And I think Anthony probably, we're the same person in a lot of ways. I'm pretty sure he probably had the same agita about that kind of thing. But it worked out awesome. And kudos to the guys at Dart Connect, who, they've been our partners since the beginning. But kudos to Greg and David and their entire staff on what they've managed to put together. Richard Barrington Hill, everybody associated with that organization to make that possible. 5 years ago, if we couldn't get to Canada, we couldn't run an event. There was just no way to do it. The way it happened here. So kudos to them.
Yeah, Peter messaged me at one point and said, "This is fantastic. I'm in Chicago, you're in New York, and we're both running a tournament in Ontario. Like, this is so cool." Yeah. And of course I had agita about it. I'm the one, I wanted a whole Zoom meeting all weekend just I could see faces, Of course I was all worked up, but it worked out great. We had a great crew that took the lead, led by Trish on site, and just things ran really smooth. We had, experienced players, who've gone through this format before, and they know what it takes to just make the event, move at the pace that it should.
What has helped you guys to attract some of these big name darts players here in North America? You've got, pretty much the top players, playing right now, week in and week out with the virtual situation. What has helped you guys to draw that versus some of the other options that they might have?
Well, Pete, if you don't mind,
go ahead.
I want to push the easy stuff aside. Push the World Championship stuff and the World Cup PDC stuff aside, because that's easy. Then that came later, and that was easy to get people interested in. What should interest the top players is what the core of this was. And Pete'll know this mantra: the best players in North America in one room, playing against each other on a repetitive basis, and that makes everybody better. That makes those players who, thought they were the best, even better, because we know the animal that they're going to go play overseas is going to be, and you got to prep for it. How do you get better? It's playing games after games like this past weekend. You get in a room, if you're Jim Long and Matt Campbell, and you're playing against David Cameron and Sean Burt and Kylie Edmonds, and Sean Brenneman, over and over again, you're going to get better. And if you're Brenneman and you're playing those, you're going to get better, and that whole room will get better over time. And that, if you're a true competitor and want to be the best dart player in North America, that's what should bring you into the CDC room. And then the other stuff is the, the icing on the cake, but the core of it should be your competitive nature.
And quite frankly, we were lucky enough to have a couple of early adopters, some big names. If we didn't get 15 big names to start that believed in us, this would never have gone. So, our first year, I like to say we're 6 years into a 3-year plan, but, our first year was really make or break. And every year's been make or break, but without the evangelists, hey, these guys really know what they're doing. They're in for the right reasons. The events are good. You're going to get better. If we didn't have that, forget it. We're not here today. So
no,
kudos to those early guys.
Agreed. We know that's how this game works, and it's at any level. You're introducing any sort of new dart thing to an area. Everybody kind of looks around and is so and so into it. Have they shown up? And it's like a catch-22. They don't want to show up because they might get beat by so and so. But until so and so comes and puts his stamp or his or her stamp of approval, they don't participate. It's the craziest little thing, right? But yes, I mean, I know you shouldn't really throw out names because you're going to forget somebody. So, but I'm going to do it anyway. Like, of course, the names that jump out at us: Darren Young and Larry Butler, and John Part, Gary Mawson, David Fathom, and again, so now I'm starting to run out. But Chris White, these core group of amazing players that signed on the dotted line in year one when we were just selling a concept, of course, truly helped, to start a foundation. They helped us lay the bricks to that.
Some of the original, behind those top names, you also had some of the original, I call them the influencers, right? The up and coming players, or the players that are kind of the challengers. The Pat Gallagher's of the world, the Russ Lizaks, the Donnie Joes. These are guys who are talking about us back home, right? And then getting interest in the people that didn't necessarily know about us and getting them to show up at the qualifiers. So it kind of snowballed. It was really kind of cool to see.
Nice. Speaking of which, like in regards to, you guys have 5 years, you've got pros that are playing. If I wanted to get my tour card, how does that go? You guys offer a tour card, and how does one go about receiving a tour card?
Go ahead, Anthony.
Okay.
I'm letting you guys fight for this one, but I can start picking you guys.
Well, it's what Pete and I work on constantly. So it's, we're well versed in it. We both well versed in it. We've both crafted it ourselves with our own two hands. So it's, we both can speak on it. First, I should say it's an evolving process. And by that, I mean, the first year, as I just said, we're selling a concept, right? So there was no firm rankings to go on, and that'll make sense in a moment. So the initial process was all invitations. We looked at what rankings were out at the time, and pulled up that list and went through that way. And over time, it's progressed to where each year a certain amount of players hold on to a tour card, and then that opens up spaces for other players. So sort of in a nutshell, it's been if you finish top 32 each season on the points list, you're automatically guaranteed a tour card for the next year. We then look at the next, who's in 33rd to 48th place and what sort of, maybe we'll pick 8 wild cards out of that. Then another big core has been the Q School events that we've developed. And the idea behind that was to give that player that you always hear about, well, if so-and-so only traveled, they'd be the best player in North America. Well, we wanted to give a player like that some inspiration. So we tried to work with tournaments around the country open events, and they were gracious enough to have us come on. So on a Friday, those type of players in regional places could come and win a tour card and then compete the next year. So that's probably that rivals like that first 32 group. And then we still have a small group of wild cards. I'm missing one group. We always now give out a tour card invitation to the winners of those long format DP tours. Dart Players New York, Chicago, etc., LA, Colorado, the whole thing. We've got a nice little family now. I believe we're up to 9, which is a great conversation all unto itself. So long format is seeping in to the, consciousness and, of North American players, for it's a decade now, and it takes that amount of time. So those players get it. And then we have a small wild card. So it's basically you retain it by being top 32, go to Q school, win a DP, or we've got a small wild card selection of, I think we had 16 this year that we extended, Pete. But the idea moving forward, just to let everybody know, those things are going to get tightened up, just like the PDC did, and that's where we want to go. You want to get to a place where, there are no more wild cards. Everything is earned. And that's I know in Peter's heart, David's heart, Jeff's heart, and my heart, that's the core of what we do. Like, that's why we had this weekend in Canada, why we had this weekend coming up in Indianapolis. We believe in things being earned. We don't want to hand out anything. We get a lot of joy in seeing somebody accomplish something, handing that trophy, in the case of Matt Campbell, knowing that he's going to play in the PDC World Cup and World Championship.
And I'll piggyback onto that. With Matt Campbell, he walked into the CDC, when we were first year in Ontario, made a final the first day, never looked back. I mean, that's the story we want. He came from nowhere. I mean, I shouldn't say that. He was well known in his local area. But to us and to the world, he came from nowhere. He walked in. He ended up losing to Darren Young in the final, but played his butt off all day and made a name for himself. And now look, he's going to the World Championship and the World Cup. I want to go one step further and be absolutely clear, because we have this conversation internally all the time. Anthony said it. I'm going to say it clearer. This is going to become a closed system. That is where this is going. And I want to be abundantly clear, because we have people that constantly message, well, I'll catch it the next one, or maybe I'll be there next year, or, I think I should have gotten a tour card. You know what? There are plenty of places that we give you opportunities to come qualify for our events. We want to see you, but you have to want to do it. That's the thing. This isn't a local event that you can go to for a half a day, play a couple events, have a couple beers, laugh with some friends, and leave. That's not what this is. This is a commitment. We want to make this professional, truly professional, like the PDC. I mean, you talk about the prize funds. We're not there. We probably never will be at that level. But we want to make it a full-time commitment. Players are going to work, right? But your darts, if you are in CDC, that's going to be your dart commitment. So if you want to get in and you haven't yet, this is, this coming year is probably going to be your time. Otherwise, the door is going to be once a year to be able to jump on. That is what's going to happen.
Yeah, and Matt, before we move on, just because I know I can go off on tangents, so I threw a lot of stuff inside that. So basically, right now it's four little components. Retain it from the prior year. Go to one of those Q schools that we organize going into the fall and winter every year. Participate in your local DP. That will give you a chance. And right now, a slim wild card system, and that's going to be the part that's going to eventually be phased out, and it's going to be, as Pete, I hesitated, Pete, to use the closed system term, but that's where we're headed.
Okay. People are watching this that want to know what the plan is.
Of course.
That's the plan.
Of course. And if you got a, if you got a wild card, 2 years ago, or maybe came through a Q school, and you won your card and some sponsorship to come out and play, and you didn't play, we take notice of that, So as time goes on, we're going to stop giving you, offering a wild card. We want players who want to play. Bottom line.
Yep, we've built this runway, starting with your local team league, moving into long format singles, moving into the DP tours, moving on to the CDC, moving into the world. It's a runway. You got to get on it, and eventually you're going to have to get on it lower. You're going to have to give yourself more space to get in the air. You're not going to be able to join it in the middle anymore.
Yeah. So you guys keep throwing out the term long format, and I know that most people watching probably understand what that is, but could one of you touch on that for those that are newer to darts that might be watching or may just not understand what long format is?
Pete?
Sure. Long format in our world, you've got to be playing a minimum of best of 9 in an early round, best of 11, and in your majors, you see how the PDC does it. There's no truer, longer format than set play at the World Championship. There just isn't. We get a lot of questions. I've gotten a lot of questions and a lot of interviews over time about what do you think is holding back darts here in North America, specifically in the United States? Is it cricket? Is it soft tip? Is it? And I think there's a couple of those in the comments even today. It's not cricket. It maybe 10 years ago it was cricket. It's not cricket anymore. The top players are playing 501. They know what it is. They're experienced. It's the world's game. They realize they have to be well versed in it. It's not soft tip. So this whole, and I'll make this make sense in a bit, but this whole concept that needs to be this war between soft and steel. No, darts is darts. And if we're truly going to have the grassroots, I don't care where you pick up your first dart. It's good for us as the top level to have players enter the game, see where where the landscape is, and maybe their eyeballs land on CDC and go, wow, who are these guys, right? That's good. What's holding us back the most in terms of being at the top level is the fact that we have a lot of short format events, and there's nothing wrong with those. I don't want them to go away. There's something to be said for the American style, quote unquote, 10 event weekends for the local players, for the players that want to have fun at a tournament, want to play maybe ranked tournaments, different levels of classification. But if you're talking about players that want to play at the best, the top level, they need at minimum to be beaten up on each other over 11, 15, 17, 21 legs so they can get the stamina to do it. And I'll say this, and then I'm going to shut up. But how many times have you seen a guy or a woman play in a American style tournament? They'll go through the bracket like a hot knife through butter. They'll get to the final. They'll win it, and then they'll go and dump out on the first event, the prelim match in the next event because they got the high and then they crashed. They got the high and then they crashed. In our format, it isn't getting a high and then crashing. It's you're building. You win, great. The event's over. And if there is another event, there's some time typically between. You can reset yourself. It's not, well, now I got to go to board 3 before I can even get my payout, my trophy, because Joy Bag of Donuts over there is waiting for me. That doesn't happen at the events that we put on.
So basically, we're seeing where we've got a circuit here in North America that is going to rival the PDC. Where you're still going to have the weekend warrior mentality. You're still going to have your big fish, small pond ability. Like here in San Diego, we have that. So you're still going to have that. But if you want to take it to the pro level, that's what Championships Darts is all about. That's what this is for.
Correct.
And Peter, you mentioned something there that I want to bring into this is you mentioned women, the ladies. We're seeing the PDC bring this in because, of course, the defunct BDO, which they're not. I say that all the time, but essentially they are. The ladies' game is gone in the sense of we have tournaments specific for ladies. Is there a desire, and I know I'm pulling this out of you guys, and you guys may have talked about this, and you might not be able to speak too much to it. Is there a desire to have a ladies-specific tournament or piece of a tournament, or are you guys going to play this out like the PDC where it's like, hey, the ladies can get a tour card if they want to and they can come play?
Pete, may I?
Be my guest.
I'm going to go first. This is in our little pre-game. We talked about one of the reasons Pete and I were very happy to come on with you, Matt. Is we realize that this is year 6 now, and people are just hitting the scene who aren't familiar with how this started, what our philosophy is, so on and so forth. Believe it or not, we're actually very proud of what we've done in terms of the women's game, or women in this game, I should say. All right. Yes, we do have the philosophy akin to the PDC. This is an open event for the best dart players, any dart player who's driven. We talked about it already. If you want to come compete with the best, we're the place for you, and that is regardless of I don't even know what to call it these days. Gender, race, all of it. It doesn't matter who or what you are if you're a dart player and you want to compete. So with that said, early on, we had Callie West, Robin Curry, and was Corinne Stockton in year one, Peter, I believe, right?
Correct.
So we had 3 ladies as CDC original tour card holders. Every year for the first 3 years, we solidly put out an invitation list that included 8 ladies on it. We didn't get a lot of nibbles, but we put an invitation out every year, and we've still fostered that relationship the last couple of years. We've been blessed to have Brenda Rausch as a tour card holder, and I apologize if I've missed anybody in there, but yes, we're very welcoming, but with that same philosophy that this is, a competition event, period, end of story for anybody interested, but no segments in terms of divisions.
Okay. And I've said, and if you guys have watched any of my programs, I say this every single program. The beautiful thing about darts as a sport is it is the equalizer. Every other sport, whether you're male or female, there's going to be some give or take or some pull just based on the makeup of a man versus a woman. And sometimes the women are better than men. I mean, we can get into shooting and archery and so forth. But when it comes to darts, everybody is standing the same distance. Everybody's throwing at the same height of dartboard. It's the most equalized game out there. Anybody can play this. A 10-year-old can beat a 28-year-old pro on any given day if they're hitting the board correctly. That's the beauty of our sport, and I love how you guys are dealing with this. The thing that I would like to see more, and this is just a personal thing, is the push from women to come play, as well as for tournaments to push women. Say, hey, the door is open, come play. Mm-hmm. You don't need a special door to get in here. You're going to walk in the same door. You're going to compete at the same level. And we know you can do it.
Oh, without a doubt. We know they can. And that's what, in that encompassing statement, the best players in North America, I don't care where they come from. Like we talked about, we don't care where they started playing, what part of the continent they're from, all of it. If you are the best and want to be the best, you are more than welcome.
And I want to just piggyback off of something you said. This is true not just in the top level, but all over the place, right? Whether you're a top level player or you're just a local league recreational guy, woman, whatever, darts is the great equalizer, not only at talent level, but also across the income spectrum. Darts has given so many people the ability to make so many friendships that society probably would not have had them make, right? We all share a love of the game. I don't care what political belief you are, what race, what sex, what sexual orientation, none of that matters. We have a love of the game. We all stand 7 feet, 9¼ inches or 8 feet in soft tip away from the board, and we have a good time. That equalizer thing, that's a message that we need to drive home, across the world. That's why this game is so awesome and so special, is because you don't have to be born with a silver spoon in your mouth to play. We're not equestrian, for the love of God. We're not hockey, and hockey is notoriously a very expensive sport because you got the ice time and all the equipment. We don't have that. What we have is something that's amazing and unique and special, and let's all appreciate that.
We've talked about it before in different meetings. It's a perfect family participation sport. $50, $60, you get a board, one set of darts, and for less than $100, the family can enjoy an evening in the house night after night.
Yeah, I do want to bring up that the guy from Chicago brought in hockey. Us in California, we don't understand what you're talking about. So,
no, that's not true. The LA Kings, you guys have fans for about half a period a game. You won a couple of Stanley Cups. At some point, you guys thought hockey was pretty cool.
We did, but we don't let our children play it because if you notice, all the players in the NHL came from Canada. We don't let our people. Yeah, it just doesn't happen. So,
in the middle of this first period, the ice is everyone's knee deep in water. You can't play in California.
Yes,
this is called the Stanley Cup.
Okay,
I've seen it before.
I've seen it. It's been many years, but I have seen it. So, getting back to darts and the youth. I want to talk a little bit about youth and getting the youth involved, because we see the PDC is working some different, avenues to get youth involved. Where is the Championships Darts Corporation circuit looking to add a youth element? Is that something that's in the works? Are you guys doing it?
We already have it.
Okay. What's that look like?
You didn't see it this year because, quite frankly, COVID derailed the world. I mean, that's no secret. The fact that we're able to put on these 2 weekends for our tour card holders in the main tour was tough enough. But we have, the junior league going on behind the scenes, the virtual stuff that's on there. Quite frankly, and I'll be 100% honest. When Anthony came to me a few years ago, and he said, hey, you know what? We really need to get into the youth. I said, yeah, we do. I'm not sure now's the time to do it because, I'm looking at the budget. I'm looking at the numbers. I'm looking at everything it takes to run the company. And I'm going, I don't know if we can do this. And he said, no, we need to do it. And I said, fine. And you know what? I'm going to let him talk about it because this is his brainchild. He put together an amazing thing. I've contributed to it, but it's all him where it came from. So Anthony, run with it.
Pete, I mean, you're too. Well, yes, Aaron Quinn is now taken over as our youth director. But I mean, come on, Pete, you're as well versed in it as. And Aaron just gave a little smiley face on the screen. That's funny. She's hanging out. Hey, Aaron. Aaron is really taken to it. Early on, we had a couple of great young players come and play in the main event qualifiers, and they were really impressive. So much so that they really conducted themselves in a professional manner, and I really thought that they were due something of their own. So we kicked off in year one. We did an under 21 tour. Just to sort of garner interest, and that now has split off with the emergence of the JDC over in England. So we've been blessed to be, working with them. I don't know if we call ourselves partners, Pete. I guess here in North America, we're their partners. Yep,
partners with the JDC.
So we have a junior tour now for players 17 and under, and then we've coined the term evolution. We have an evolution tour for players 18 to 23. So that same sort of idea. What evolution, Pete?
I'm laughing because at the World Cup last year.
No, it was the U.S. Masters in Vegas because I was there with him. Rod Harrington?
Oh, that's right. It was the Masters.
Yeah.
Harrington looks at us, and that's right. I forgot it was Vegas. He goes, "Evolution, huh? I might have to steal that."
Nick, he gave us an English. He goes, "I may have to nick that, lad."
Yeah, I may have to nick that.
We loved it. A great compliment. Yeah, so we've got a junior tour and an evolution tour. Off the top of my head, Pete, I think this would have been year 3, correct? In that dual system, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So essentially, a fourth year of a youth endeavor, if you will.
And you want to talk about the runway. Well, now we've got the runway, not just at the adult level, but at the junior level as well. So you start with the CDC junior tour. You get a chance to go to the JDC World Championship, the JDC World Cup. You get a little better. You come in. You're still a young player. We give you a chance. Now, granted, we didn't get a chance to do it this year, but we will next year. Get a chance to compete to go to the PDC Unicorn World Youth Championship, and then you age out of that. Not that you can't play CDC as a young person, the main tour, you can, but you age, quote unquote, age out of that, and now you're competing for the big prize. So the fact that we're able to put that together has been amazing. And let's face it, a lot of people talk about what our goal is. We recently, kind of redesigned the website. Needs still a little bit more work, some updating, but I put a lot of thought with my partners into the mission statement and the other stuff that's up at champdarts.com. And really, people ask where we're going, what our goal is. Well, our goal is to see the next North American world champion. But if we got to be honest with ourselves, the current people have the ability to play, but it's not as likely that they will be the ones to crack that ceiling. Making a run to the top 8, that that's what we're hoping to see. But the next generation, that's where the next world champion is going to come from. We got to spend time with them. We got to get them earlier. We got to get them into the system. We got to start the JDC Academy type things, which we're planning on doing, like they've done in England. We need to find people to play darts. We have youth infrastructure for literally every sport in this country except for darts. I'm sure there's others out there as well, but you get the point I'm making, right? We need to find that. There will be the next Michael Van Gerwen. I use that, but the first time I met Michael Van Gerwen, he was 17 freaking years old, and I put him in a pro-am at the Windy City Open. Look at the talent he has. Look where that came from. We got to find him younger, and we got to get him in, and we got to develop the passion without some of the bad habits that some people tend to get into.
Well, that's. Sorry, go ahead, Matt.
I was going to say, I want to throw in, because David chimed in, don't forget Mad Darts, because that is another youth program that is available, and I know that you guys are working with Mad Darts as well.
Mad is an amateur darts program that's focused right now on the UK. It's run by Steve Brown, who's also the JDC chairman. Steve's an amazing guy. He's got more ideas in his head than I can keep up with. I think that's going to be pretty freaking cool, and I think that if it takes off over there, it's going to start making its way around the world. Obviously, there's some tension, I think, that's going to happen between the MAD and the successor to the BDO. But yes, I mean, that certainly could be something that becomes a thing worldwide.
Okay,
and.
No,
sorry.
No.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, that's something that we're going to just sort of sit back and watch it grow organically,
right.
Watch what Steve does. And that's, we want to remember what we spoke about earlier. It's not, we're going to sort of support what's best for darts and whatever that develops. I mean, we've always understood that you need a very rich and vibrant grassroots amateur game. You don't get professional players except from out of a lower pool, and of course, as Peter talked about the a youth system, but you need a amateur pool to then develop players. And I'll leave, I'll stop with the youth on this, but just to explain, like Pete was laying out, all three levels now have the same goals and mission statements. It's all about experience long format play. And Pete touched on it, the actual format, but it's not only that. We've talked about it hit and miss this evening. It's also an atmosphere, and it's a mindset, and it's learning how to play physically and mentally through a long day when matches get extremely long, and learning yourself as a player. Playing 2 out of 3 and best of 11 are completely different animals. Because you can win, you go ahead, go up 2-0, match is far from over. And the experienced player on the other side of you is going to know that. They're not going to be worried, not going to be panicked, and if they're a player of stature, you're going to turn around. You're going to be down 4-2. So you have to learn how to let that long format match play out. So that's what you want to give these youth players. So by the time we get them at 25 in the main championship darts circuit, they've been doing it for a decade. They're not gassed anymore at a long day. They don't, they're not, it's not unfamiliar to know how the bracket plays out all day. They know what to do with themselves in between games, whether it be nutrition, practice, getting some rest, what have you, because there are sometimes large breaks in between in early rounds, So in addition to learning the atmosphere, we've also had great opportunities on every level. We send players now to Europe, and that's been a real achievement for us. So whether you're a 14-year-old playing in the junior tour, a 19-year-old player in the Evolution Tour, or a 29-year-old playing, or a 49-year-old playing in the circuit, you have a shot to go play on a world stage and for a world championship. We send players to play for 3 separate world championships, and we're very, very proud of that.
And I know, just one more thing, kind of piggybacking off what you said about you're down 2-0 and you're not panicked. Anthony knows I love set play. I don't want to see it in every event. Leg play is certainly the cornerstone of what we do. But being in set play, I can lose the first 4 legs and still be, all right, I get the next 3, I'm right back in it. It's 1-1, and it's a totally different mindset in that world than it is in, best 2 of 3 or even 3 of 5 on the local tournament level.
And you have to learn that. You have to learn that. It's not just about skill. And that's what Peter and myself and Mark Clifford and other people, I'm trying to throw in as many names as Haskup was there in that room in Connecticut that we watched all those many years ago. We were watching talented people just not be equipped with the right tools to go be successful. So in the room, we said, like Pete said, we all realized, we put the darts in the draw that, we're not going to the world championship. So how can we help someone else go and become a world champion? And that's what, we want to equip these players who have the talent with the tools to go be successful.
So what I hear you guys saying is that really the goal of Championship Darts Corporation circuit as a whole is to put together the next North American world champion, the person that can take the crown, take the trophy and bring it back to North America. And we can say to those guys on the other side of the pond, ha, ha, ha. I mean, is that really where we're at?
I'm not going to say ha, ha, ha.
I will. I'll say that.
Well,
go ahead.
I just want to say, I mean, yes, it's a huge, that's what you put up there to have that, monumental, that huge mountain to climb. And we're all going to do it together. It's going to be, as Pete said, all of the ground, the ground players, who set in stone to make this happen. And we've heard some of them talk to us like that. They know that they might be finished, but they know that they've had a hand. So it's the organizers and it's all of it, and it's the juniors, blah, blah, blah. So we're all going to get there. But we've also been committed because we know that there's a vocal group that wants this done right. We're building it for us here. It's for us and by us, meaning that, we want to go overseas and compete, but we also want to have a vibrant semi-professional / professional circuit here in North America, that has its own sponsors, that has its own broadcasts, and so on and so forth, and then we mix it up with the world when the time is right.
Our goal has always been to grow, the big money that we've been chasing that at some point is going to land. That doesn't come with 64 dart players in a room. It doesn't come with dart enthusiasts. We've got to find a way. And you know what? We were really, really, really close to getting something on television. I can't go really in depth in it. We were really, really close. COVID kind of screwed everything up. But those opportunities will come back. We need to get fans outside of the dart enthusiasts. We need to find the casual fan, and sports wagering certainly might be the way to do that. We've had some good conversations. I'm hoping that they eventually turn into something more than conversations. But I mean, how many times did Walt Disney get told no before he got told yes? And that's what keeps me and us going. I'll read you the vision statement off the CDC website. Championship Darts Corporation will develop the next North American World Darts Champions at all levels of the game, from youth to adult. That's the vision, not the mission, and that's really what we're trying to do. But yes, we've got to focus on it here. We can't be led around. We have to shape our own destiny.
Yeah, and I throw in the jab, to those that are, because I know there are some people that are watching this and that'll watch on the broadcast and they'll get back at me. I like that competitive nature that we can have as North Americans versus the UK and that side. I've always kind of enjoyed, I would love to see us eventually have something where it's, we've got a cup that is North America versus the UK. I think that would be cool if we can get to that point. So that's my jab at them. That's not coming from Championship Darts Circuit, guys. Just understand that that's my job. Hey, real quick.
But hold on. Those are conversations that are being had in the background. I'm not saying it's going to happen immediately, but one of the blessings about being able to go to the World Championship and sit in the room and have meetings with the other, not just the PDC guys, but the other affiliate tour organizers, is that we can find stuff. The U.S. versus U.K. may be U.S. versus Australia, or U.S. versus the EADC, or U.S. versus PDC, Asia. That may be where it starts. And there certainly are thoughts and conversations about making that happen. That would go a long way towards finding interest outside of just darts enthusiasts. That's why the Olympics are so popular.
The CDC versus those organizations, Peter.
Yes, sorry, the CDC. Yes, correct.
Yeah, and I could see there actually being tournaments in different continents where we're taking, in which kind of happens, but I mean, for me, my mind starts going and I get all excited about where the direction can go for North America with darts, because it's such an open area for us now. With that said, and you guys mentioned this with COVID, there was the potential for a TV spot, but COVID happened. You guys had to kind of reorganize, refigure things out. We had to let live darts go and get into this virtual situation where we're playing at home. How has that transition been for you guys? And the biggest question I have is, do you see a fracture, a split, where you're going to have a virtual tour, you're going to have a stage tour, and you can get to where you have stars from each one, or one works into the other? So I'm going to let Anthony start with that, because I know, Peter, you got a lot to say about that.
We had to pivot, is what we've been told.
Painful is how
we had to pivot, as per Colin. I'm going to. We've started to see that develop. I think what I'll add, and then we'll go to Pete, is more about the players accepting the legitimacy of it. That's what I'm starting to see, and it's not exactly there yet, but it's getting real close. In terms of players playing repetitively, getting more comfortable with the online experience, organizers figuring out how to best monitor those matches, keep them running efficiently, keeping an eye on them to properly referee, all of that sort of stuff. So I certainly do see the acceptance of an online arena a little sooner than you would expect. I can see it being part of the package, if you will. So I'll let that's sort of my take on it, and we'll see what Pete.
I'm in agreement. I said it was painful. It was. You got guys like, I'll mention just one, but you guys got guys like Will Stewart, who seized it, embraced it, and ran with it, and look what he managed to do. You got Bearded Dart Guy. There's loads of these. I've said it in the interviews before. Usually, I get asked a question about social media and our presence there, which we've been better at, by the way. But I'm not sure 4 guys over 40 are the right vehicle for that next generation thing. And that's why it's been painful. We've jumped on board because we've seen it, but we've been we've kind of turned and looked for help from people who were successful at it. I think that's one of the organization's strengths, is that, Lord knows, we don't think we know everything about everything, and we're going to ask for help where we need it, and we did. Thanks to the people that have jumped in and helped us put these on. I think there is a future for it. The world was already getting smaller. Our world, was part of that, and now it's even more so. When you've got guys that are together, we can play when somebody's in China and I'm here in the United States. I mean, the world is as small as it's ever been. So there is a future for this. As to what it looks like for us, like Anthony, we'll participate in it and grow it, but we're certainly open to suggestions and ideas to see, where that ends up. Our focus has to be on our core mission.
Sorry, my kids just came into the office.
I've been fretting now for a solid hour that mine are going to be around. So I've just been, as Pete said, we will establish the on-site circuit first and foremost, and then see how these new tools at our disposal, how best we can use them.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm seeing are 2 questions that go with the virtual situation. Actually, 3 questions. one, do you see the ability to have a championship darts circuit that is online specific? Like you've got 20 tour cards that are just an online situation. This is the way that they play. They're never getting to the Aki, where you can kind of manage the situation. You can set them up with the proper cameras, help them with the lighting. And it's like, okay, we've got our Tuesday and Thursday matches that are online. And then we've got basically our regular at the Aki tour stuff that we're doing. Is that something that's a potential? And the other question that no one's asked yet, and I'm going to throw it out there, is these guys that are out there, and I don't want to name anybody specific, that's out and they're doing these tournaments, and we're seeing all these top pros go play these during the week tournaments. Do you see that as a potential plus, or could it erode a online circuit? I'm going to throw that at you, Peter, first, and then Anthony, I'll get your take on it.
So let me talk about the first part of that first. We actually have plans drawn up. You know, when we were forced to, again, the Colin Kosal pivot, when we were forced to pivot, we had thought about ways that we could make our on-site tournaments into hybrid tournaments, to be able to bring virtual players into an actual event where we had some people playing in the room, some people playing elsewhere, regionalized, whatever it would be. I think that, you know, if the world doesn't go back to normal, if we continue to see regionalized restrictions like we do, that certainly in 2021, if we needed to, we could roll that out. It's not the goal. It's not where we want to be, because we really enjoy and function best in the in-person scenario. But if it's a choice of nothing or that, we're going to go with that. You know, the big players, the second part of your question, you know, I'm a fan of exclusivity in terms of creating a brand, right? You look at the top PDC players, you don't see them playing in local events. I mean, obviously they do exhibitions, but you know, they're exclusive. You can't play them in your local pub tournament. And that's, you know, we've always said that that's kind of what we want to do here with the top of the top. These are the best of the best at their craft. Nowhere else. I can't go play tennis against Roger Federer anywhere, right? That's the exclusivity of it that'll make the world, you know, that we're in better for revenue and things like that. But I think that the occasional tournament like that certainly could be a positive if it gets eyeballs that wouldn't necessarily be watching. That's what I'll say to that.
To a couple of points in there, and I want to refresh the second party question. The first part was, yeah, we've been fortunate because we've got a few partners. We are always sort of putting things on the table, so we are always going to keep our not options, but we're gonna learn by what's out there. So at some point, yeah, we would always look to see, is there a way to give players an opportunity, if you will, in a cyber atmosphere to maybe earn a tour card or something. That will, we're obviously we're going to explore that. As Peter touched on, you know, our partner David has started to play with that idea of keeping the tour card holders, but you make sure that they're set up at home visually correct with actually multiple cameras, so he can sort of give you a production quality event from the players' living rooms if this was extended into next year. So we are starting to look at those ideas on, you know, what if the world, you know, stays as it is. And then, as I said before, if these games are more accepted by players, there'll probably be a demand to include them in some fashion. And we are, you know, we would be foolish not to explore that a little bit. Refresh for me the second part of your question, because you started to go down the road and I thought you were talking about players and I mumbled someone's name and I actually used the wrong name. Because I know there's a, you know, big player out there who's getting a lot of attention that, you know, I guess is just popping up on-site games. And I mean that in a respectful manner, in that, you know, those are some of those players that, you know, we know that are out there that have the potential, you know, but as we are built, it's you got to come play, you know, you got to come play the big boys in the same room. But did you went into organizers with that, or was it just players online right now?
So that second part of that question, and again, I haven't heard anybody ask this, and I've not been sure if I wanted to ask it in other, talking with other people, but because of the availability to go play on these streams, and I don't want to name any names in specific,
Sure.
but there are a number of streams that we're seeing professional players go play, which is giving them the ability to play. It's giving us as fans the ability to watch. But is there a concern that could erode what the championship darts circuit is trying to get to? And I think Peter kind of answered the fact that, hey, if it's a brand and you're part of the brand needs to be the brand. But is there a concern, or is it, hey, this is awesome because darts is getting out there?
Okay. Thank you for refreshing me on that. I think, one part of it, to Pete's point, that was the goal early on with the CDC. That was part of the idea of the circuit, was that we watch people put on high level events, but not having a core idea of who's coming didn't give you the ability to promote the players and the organization, as Pete said, as a brand. So that's the idea of having a tour card system, is that you now have a product to promote. I don't think for the foreseeable future that online experience will supplant in any way what we just saw in Canada. The players still know that there's a big chasm between playing my opponent, where I can feel his breath, than playing online. And I think for the foreseeable future, that's going to still continue to rule. But I think the online experience, as I said, as it becomes more acceptable, I think firstly, as we've touched on, could be a qualifying vehicle, if you will, to see a player's potential, give a player the confidence and knowledge that they can compete, on a higher level. So that component I can see becoming the first place it moves the needle a little bit. But you're not going to go to the World Championship playing in your living room. It's still going to be traditional, same board, same hockey. Let's get it on.
So there is something for the virtual world, and I know I kind of put you guys on the block there in regards to that particular question, because it's hard to tell someone, hey, we don't want you to go do this, especially with how things are now. It's getting players the availability to play, as well as it's getting the word out there. People are seeing darts.
We've
but
always
I can also
been about that, and I mentioned exclusivity and a closed circuit, and the wanting to kind of protect the players. Right now there's our prize funds are good, but you can't sustain yourself just playing CDC. We recognize that. Yeah. These are aspirational things. They're not necessarily we're going to do them tomorrow things.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's get off that subject, because I think, the virtual, I think there's a fracture here. I think we're going to see virtual darts as being an actual money-making proper situation at some point. And then, of course, getting to the hockey, everybody wants to go see that. That's what we pay to see as the sport. But let's talk about next week. Let's talk about upcoming things for the Championship Darts circuit. What's next, and what can we see here in the future? Let you guys fight over that one.
So we just had, as you saw, the 2020 Canada Series that qualified Matt Campbell to partner Jeff Smith in the World Cup, the PDC Bet Victor World Cup of Darts. And he will also be representing himself and Canada, of course, at the William Hill World Darts Championship. And next weekend, this coming weekend, we have events for the U.S. tour card holders to do the same thing. We will select two players. So Matt Campbell's partnering Jeff Smith in the Canadian event, because Jeff, of course, is a PDC tour card holder and has done very well over in England and Europe. But we'll select two U.S. players to comprise Team USA at the Bet Victor World Cup of Darts. And then we will also have one player who will go to the World Darts Championship. Danny Lauby is already going to the World Darts Championship because, sadly, the New York event didn't happen, and Anthony is showing a Continental Cup. So Danny Lauby won the Continental Cup last year, which is our end of tour, kind of championship. And this year it's very likely not going to happen, but there's not much to do, right? But at the end of the year, we always want to have that big thing. And Anthony and I have been really big about that. Like, that's our time to shine, our day. Last year we had spectators in the room, and they paid money to be there, and it was amazing. But
yeah, please, Pete, talk about that. Matt may not be versed in that. How, we really pulled off a big step in our maturation with last year's Continental Cup.
We did. Yeah, we actually sold tickets and sold out the seats. I mean, we had some general admission that wasn't sold out, but sold out the seats. It was a small venue. We're not talking about selling out some massive place, but we had people that were paying money, and they literally people that drove and flew to watch North American dart players play darts in a controlled setting. Far as I know, that hasn't happened. Certainly it hasn't been recent since somebody's been willing to do that just for North American darts. So we were stoked about that. We put on a show. We had Richard Ashdown, who's a dear friend of both Anthony and I, and our partners now, big with the WDF, over there as MC and spotter. And, we brought in Dion Lon, who's one of the best switchers in the game. And, the guy that handles camera angles. It was a production, and it felt like a production, and it was big, and it was good, and we wanted to do that again. And then, of course, we got derailed. But that is key. There's other growth things that we're playing with. For example, we mentioned the New World Dart Series. That's something that I think there was a lot of people that really enjoyed the round robin into knockout that we did. With that, our partner Sharon Butler and the staff here. That we did that, right? And so I think that you might see us bring an event like that, not that event, but an event like that into the tour at some point in the future. There's ways that we're always thinking of creating more opportunities. And as you close the main circuit more, you want to find other opportunities that are ancillary to that, so you can still identify players, get them in a tournament setting, get them playing long format, and get them a taste of what it is, and maybe identify people that you wouldn't have otherwise identified. I'm not sure if that answers your question, but I'll throw the rest of it to Anthony.
Oh, well, this is Danny Lauby's take-home version. So we've started a tradition, and we're going to be able to give this to Danny in his home state this coming weekend, not even next weekend. We all fly out at the end of this week. So, we were blessed to have a really great Canadian weekend this past week. The quality in the room was fantastic. We had 4 tournaments and 4 separate winners, and we're going to replicate that in Indianapolis. We're going to have 4 tournaments, another quality field. And we're really looking forward to it. Really, it feels a breath of refreshing air to get back to, on-site play. So really excited.
It's something we all get to fly out. Somebody's got to load the equipment and haul it down there. Okay, so we don't all get to fly. I'm laughing.
All right, good point. Yeah, Citera's hitting the road. Eugenie is going to be sitting at the American Airlines lounge, waiting for his Friday afternoon flight. I'll do my usual. I come in late, take a picture at the end of the day, like I was doing a lot of hard work, and and away we go.
Hey, you're from New York. We expect that. It's okay.
Wow. I'll mention this. What we saw last weekend. You talk about the level of play increasing. We saw 4 winners in 4 events. That's, as an organizer, that's awesome. Right. It's not one person running away with it. We went into that last event with 3 people tied for the points lead to go to the World Championship. I mean, that's parity at the top. And that's really great. As you evolve a game and as you get people to get behind these personalities, because that's really what they are, right? The personalities. It's awesome to see that. Right. So I back this guy. I back that guy. Well, they're all playing well. Oh, Quinn.
Yeah, I just realized I could, and it's probably a mistake. I think I'm going to turn it off. I didn't realize I could watch the public chat. Yeah, I think I'm going to unclick that.
No, that's okay.
That later.
There's been some good comments, of course, that have come across. as I like to say, land the plane, because we have gone a little bit over time the normal, but which is fine. And I could literally do this for another hour or two and pepper you guys with questions and talk more about what's coming up.
More coffee. Let's go.
You got okay. Well, I mean, I'm good. The Chiefs game's not over for another hour or so. I can't watch it yet, so we're good. Real quick, if those that are watching, if you're liking this, smash the I don't say this enough, but smash the like button, the heart button, all that other stuff on Facebook. It's much appreciated. But the future for Championship Darts Circuit and sponsorship. I am a huge believer that there needs to be a shoe sponsor. Seriously needs to be a shoe. Adidas is out there, Nike's out there. Guys, it needs to happen because the shoes are the focus at the Aki. Let's be honest. It happens. Unless you're MVG, you're pulling socks up, he can get a sock sponsor. But really, has there a drive for big sponsors outside of darts? Spy sunglasses, Oakley sunglasses. Is there a drive for anything of that nature? And what can we see in the future? What's the big driving futuristic goal?
So I'm just going to briefly answer that question.
Okay.
Has there been a thought about it? Absolutely. The televised event that I talked about that unfortunately got blown up. You'll see us put on the finals of it. We'll talk about it more in another setting. But we actually had one of the best top sponsorship guys in the United States, like the guy who pulls together sponsorship for major sporting events, working his contacts for us. And we had a couple of nibbles. We didn't get to where we wanted to be. I think that's always something we're going to be thinking about. We joke years ago about the Levi's 501 championship, right? It seems to flow, but it hasn't happened yet. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. But we're trying. I want people to hear that it's not like we're just sitting back. Like, we literally had one of the top human beings who does this for a living shopping us to the brands you mentioned and more. Couple of nibbles, nothing concrete. That hopefully, knock on wood, will change at some point in the near future.
I was muted. That's why I was saying, yes, Levi's. If you're at come on. I mean, it makes sense. Let's go. I mean, the part of it though, in reality, we talk about it's a little bit about setting. I mean, I don't disagree that, we can and should be able to promote any type of product, but we do have a dress code. So it seems counterintuitive, to say get Levi's involved when, nobody in the room is wearing blue jeans. Blue jeans. I am 70. Or, the sneaker brands, we require a certain type of footwear. Now that's not to say that those brands don't or get the right brand to be out there. But I leave a lot of that money stuff. That's why I smile to Pete. I work on the darts part of it. It's it's a frustratingly slow part of this process, and it's certainly a learning process to really get a peek behind the curtain to a large degree, and find out the realities of this game.
Yes.
That's been a stark reality about, everyone's struggling to make a nickel. So I do think
a very expensive learning process.
It's been an expensive learning process, but I think, to your greater point, Matt, that I think the nut gets broken when it's outside the game, when that, whatever it may be, energy drinks, apparel, when regular corporate America gets involved, that's when it breaks open. So it's just a matter of trying to get in front of that right person, get that right ear, make that right presentation to express, the amount of consumers that are A, participating, and B, viewing. So,
and as we have more success getting, non-core darts audience, that will certainly drive those opportunities as well. But if anybody out there in Watchland has connections, I'm always willing to talk. I'm willing to fly pretty much anywhere on this globe to promote and talk about what we can offer, because I really do think we have a compelling value add for the right price. Right, everything is everything in this world has the right price. Are we going to go get $1 million from somebody tomorrow? No. But the money we're looking for, what's going to be life-changing for us is money that other sports are going, that? So it gives an opportunity for these brands to get into something at a lower price point that's going to be really important for what we want to do and things that we want to, grow marketing-wise. And I mean, I got a marketing plan that's sitting collecting dust because we don't have the marketing budget to do it. That is the stuff that small amount for what's a small amount for bigger sports for us could be a world changer. And so if you got any contacts, reach out to me.
Any laying around money. But yeah, we talk about that all the time. Yeah, for what is generally corporate America's a budget to do, a weekend event in Central Park or something in, around the country for a promotional event is, if we had 10% of that, it would be life-changing to the game here in North America. And I echo, what Pete touched on is sort of all I thought about is, from my perspective on my part of this company is that, until that happens, the best that we can do is to create the best, most solid product and brand that we can, the most, a company with the most integrity that we can run it with and have a product that has, we talk about that, with 5 years under our belt now, we have a track record of play. And we saw how important that was prior to the CDC being established, in that if you wanted to sit down 10 years ago with a betting house in Vegas, you can have a conversation with, you can pick, 3 learned people around North America and have a discussion about, who should be seated what and what odds should be laid on those games. But essentially it would be all subjective. We've now put together a track record, of high quality play over and over again. So we can truly present to you, like, this is why such and such a player is ranked where they are, and and we have the numbers now to back it up.
And
so we've wanted
records and all those things that you'd need to be able to establish that. The online betting thing, it's becoming legal in more states. There's going to be opportunities there, but again, it's a chicken or the egg thing. One of the things that when you bring in the online betting, people aren't going to necessarily lay odds or take action on an event where the winner wins $2,000. Simply put, the potential for abuse is way high. So we've got to find a way to get the prize funds up, and maybe that's the avenue to do that. We got to find a way to get the prize funds up too. That's just the reality of it. I want to be crystal clear to people that say, well, it's DraftKings, or, well, you can go get William Hill. Well, yes, and William Hill has a lot of experience with darts, but there's other things in the background there. I'm working a little bit with the PDC in terms of putting the right guidelines in place. The DRA has guidelines that are we're affiliated with the Darts Regulation Authority. That their rules govern our events. They have a code, but that's a real thing. It's not something that's just exists in movies. People try to game the system, and we need to make sure that can't happen with our events.
Yeah, no, completely makes sense. And of course, everybody goes to, bring in the gambling. But I think that the reality is, even with 5 years under your belt, you need a little bit more history to show strength. I look at like the AVP, Association of Volleyball Professionals. I was a huge volleyball player. Well, I was a short volleyball player, but a big fan of it here in California. And I watched that grow and gain what was players that ran it for many, 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 many years, that took it to a position where it could be televised. They changed the rules a little to allow for that. And then they got what they got out of it. And of course, we know the Olympics, which would be cool for darts, the Olympic side of it. My question, and we're going to wrap up on this because there's a lot more questions, and I really hope I can drag you guys back onto the show in a month or two to talk more about this and as events.
We'll talk about 2021 when we get it all wrapped up. We'd love to.
Okay, but the last thing, the last question, the last piece, I think, to the puzzle, when we talk about bringing in sponsorship and more money, as darts fans, how do we help you guys? And honestly, putting on a tournament where we pay a few bucks to go watch these top players, that should be happening all the time. I know we will pay. I'll pay to go, I'll drop $20, $30, to go watch something, if that makes sense. But where can we as fans really help the Championships darts circuit become the next level?
Great question.
It is. I mean, a lot of it is getting the word out, sharing our stuff, getting eyeballs on the streams. That's the average casual, I shouldn't say casual, the passionate dart fan. That's some of the best things they can do, because those numbers then translate into revenue down the road. That's one thing.
Yeah, I mean, I would concur with that. Initially, now is numbers. Give us those numbers to then start to give us ammunition in meetings and show a following. If you do really care, we are working on actually merchandise. These are available now, Peter, I believe.
Yeah, matter of fact, we're going to get that up on the website and probably the Facebook page first. So we got jerseys, we've got mugs, we're going to get hats.
Let's see if I can.
Yeah, these jerseys.
Get around. Can we see the whole thing? We have a U.S. version and we've got a Canadian version that would have red piping, but it's of course an action item to increase merchandise. We're at 0 right now, so we're looking to launch. We've got these shirts and so on and so forth. We've done a little pieces, so I should increase this proper. But that's the point. If you do care and as we start to roll out merchandise, if you spend your darting dollar with us a little bit, I'll give you another big one. I would say right now, most impactful, support the people that support us. Yes. Right. So, right now, go get yourself a Dart Connect Premium membership. Get a shot board through A to Z. Dart Brokers is a big sponsor of our youth events. So go, spend some money. Take your darting dollar and break it into those people. That's Cosmo has been early on, Peter, right? I think year one.
If it wasn't for Cosmo Darts taking a chance on us in year one when we were nothing, we wouldn't be here today.
So translate your appreciation and for what we've been doing by, and I would even go so far as to drop them a note. Of course, money talks in product, but a quick 2 sentences email goes a long way. Just that, hey, we love what's going on and we appreciate you getting involved and we want to see more of it. I'm sure that goes a long way. So this will be a work in progress. I know when I was a big fan, I spent my money intentionally with the thought that I'm going to support something. I've been a PDC subscriber since, quite honestly, I'll tell you the truth, I've been on that PDC site. I listened to the Kevin Painter, Phil Taylor match when you could only get the audio, and you listened to Waddell, John Gwynn, and Lanning just on audio, and I kept track of it on a piece of paper, and it was on dial-up. So, and I bought books and all with the idea of I want to see these things grow, so I'm going to spend my money in the support of that effort.
And I want to circle back to one thing. You mentioned, Matthew, about, hey, I dumped $20. I love to hear that. Last year we were able to get people in a room. When we started, in good conscience, we had to build the darts first. We had to build something that was able to be sold. I think we've gotten much better at that. But there's also a mentality among a lot of people that they want stuff for free. I mean, just look at all the people asking for the free stream. Hey, where's the free stream? Hey, I don't want to pay that. Well, if you don't want to pay for the content, don't expect the content to get created. We haven't been there yet. We're creating a lot of free content. We realize you got to do that. But at some point, if it's entertainment, if you're spending an entertainment dollar, you got to get something back in return. We want to give you that back in return, but you got to be willing to invest that money, because right now we're investing that money. And so, this stuff doesn't create itself. So that mentality has to evolve into, yeah, I'll throw a couple bucks at it, because these are real people trying to change the sport I love, and not where's the free stream.
Without a doubt. I mean, and that's I'm a big proponent of that, and it's definitely somewhere on the horizon. A pay service that will supply some content. And again, as a consumer, you want to get something back, but early on, we know it's an effort to support where we're going with this. And I did mention, I said get a shot board to A to Z. A to Z inherently the parent company, who of course we need is Magic Darts, and Magic Darts is our headline sponsor on the circuit. So we've been able to do some really fantastic things with the help of the Baxters, and of course, we got Magicwear shirts. So of course, Magic gets our very big appreciation, of course. But those are the short-term things, and now we talk, there's the long-term things as things start to get rolled out. If you see fit, subscribe, and things like that.
All right. Well, we're gonna land this plane, but before we do that, would you guys just rattle off and just go like back and forth, however you guys want to do it? Sponsors, so that everybody knows who is sponsoring Championships Darts Circuit Corporation, and we know when we're spending dollars, this is going to help to some degree with what's going on.
Peter, you.
Our lifeblood, and I'll start. Our lifeblood is our sponsors. Without them, we don't exist. And at the top of the list is Magic Darts. And Anthony, go ahead and throw one out.
No, what? No. Please, you give the list, because it's your. Pete's our CEO, so this is his wheelhouse.
Magic Darts, the Magic Darts Championship Darts Circuit for a reason. Our events, many of our events are presented by Cosmo Darts. They're presented by Cosmo Darts for a reason. Cosmo is our longest sponsor. They, as I mentioned earlier, had trust in us from the beginning. I cannot thank Nozomi Nishikawa enough for all the support she's given us over the years. I cannot thank the Baxters enough for the support they've given us. We've got Dart Brokers. We've got the official board of the Championship Darts Circuit, which is the Bandit by Shot Darts, the new improved, the new Bandit by Shot Darts. Those are our key sponsors across what we're doing. We've brought on this year and going into next year, Dynasty Barrels. There's a bunch of new ones that I think you'll see coming on, and we love them. And if you are involved in dart companies and you're interested in giving yourself exposure to people who are truly interested in your product, reach out. I'd love to have a conversation. I don't think I left anybody out.
No one. I was going to say no one in terms of companies sponsoring events and whatnot. The only other thing would be, of course, our early partnership with Dart Connect that has been so fruitful for both parties. It's been wonderful, this journey that we've taken with Dart Connect.
Yeah, pay the $21. Seriously.
Honestly, that's exactly the sort of thing that I don't really play anymore, and I don't really miss it. But I have my Dart Connect subscription, and that's a perfect thing. That this is. I need to have this because this is a company that, helped change the game here in North America and now, quite honestly, the world. But
and you got two guys here who were really skeptical about it at the beginning, now evangelists. So that should tell you something.
Yeah. They had to pry the dry erase marker from my cold, dead hand.
It's a good thing. Hey, guys, I appreciate you being on the show. Just so you know, when you're back on, I'm going to pepper you with questions about soft tip. How do we get a soft tip league situation going with Championships Darts Circuit? So start thinking that one out. We're going to talk more about. For you already.
Don't worry.
Yeah, well, we'll talk. We've
had that one on paper since 2016, I think.
Okay, well, it's time. It's time. So we'll bug you guys about that, and many other questions that I hopefully will help the darts community understand what you guys are trying to achieve. Ultimately, it is to help grow the sport. It is to help professional players here in North America have a place to call home where they can hone their skills, make some cash, and hopefully one day the top 64 of the North American area will be able to call darts their only way of making an income, and we can get a killer little push going with those guys across the pond on the other side. So guys, thank you so much for being on the show. I want to thank my sponsors as well, is Shot Darts, as well as Magicwear. So they are getting around and they're helping out the darts community in a big, big way. So guys, go spend a couple bucks there. Check out A to Z Darts. They've got a lot of cool stuff on there. And if you play pool, they can help you out with that as well.
Shout out to you guys with the design for the shirt.
Yes. Definitely go to Championship. What's the website again? It's
Jen Mouth, one of my favorite people to be in commentary with.
Yes. Yeah. What's the website for Championship Darts?
Champdarts.com. CHAMP darts.com. Want to thank Scott Estel, who redesigned the site for us. Scott and I are going to be chatting this week. He doesn't know it yet, but we are. We have some work to do on it. But eventually we'll have a store up there. But I think the store is likely to hit Facebook and email and some other things. We're going to be getting that stuff out.
Yeah, and all of our social media handles are at Champ Darts, so you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Are you guys on on YouTube? I don't even know.
The YouTube channel, we have broadcast on it in the past. It's still a work in progress. It's been a back and forth with production in terms of where we've put our product out. Right now we've been Facebook only, but we do have a YouTube channel.
Okay, and guys, go check out the YouTube channel, friend that, like it, and as stuff gets shown there, watch it there, because that again will be a way to help generate dollars through the AdSense to help out the Championship Darts circuit. Thank you, everybody, for catching this and watching this episode. I will have both these guys back. We're going to talk more about darts with them. Again, check out A to Z Darts, check out Magicwear, check out Shot Darts, check out Cosmo, and the slew of different people that are out there that are helping Championship Darts. Make sure you do that. And champdarts.com. Let's buy out everything day one. Let's just get it done. Make them have to go order more stuff. Let's help these guys out. They are helping us out as they grow. Thanks again, guys, for being on.
Thank you, Matthew.
Everybody, for watching. And real quick, for those that are still on, the barrels that I had made, that our first atomic dart barrel, they're in the air on my way to you, or to me, so I can get them to you guys, and we'll talk more about that next week. Thanks again for watching, guys. I will see everybody on the next one.
Thanks,
hey,
Matt.
You guys hang on real quick. Don't go anywhere.
Will do. Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.